Greetings, friends. We welcome you to the Sacred Name Telecast, presented by the Assemblies of Yahweh of Bethel, Pennsylvania. I'm Elder Jacob O. Meyer, proclaiming the revealed personal name of our Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and the good news of the kingdom of the heavens. And we extend hearty and joyful greetings to each listener who has joined us today for this Bible study program. We hope that you join us every time that the Sacred Name programs can be heard in your area. Both the Sacred Name radio broadcast that we began over 40 years ago, and then the Sacred Name Telecast, which we began about 35 years ago, and then went into a hiatus for several years, and then we revived it again in the early 1990s so that we could reach out further and further to those who are true believers, those who believe in the Bible. Is the Bible relevant for our time, we wonder? Because constantly it seems there's opposition to the Bible. You can't use the word Bible, it seems. You can't refer to it. You can't quote it. And yet I believe that the Bible is very relevant. That's why I'm preaching the word according to 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. The word is the word of Yahweh, the Old Testament. And the word is also found throughout the rest of the Bible, through the prophets and into the New Testament. Finally, the Son of Yahweh came into existence. He was born of the Virgin, Miriam, and then he taught for 3.5 years. He died a cruel death upon a torture stake, not a cross, but an upright pole. And that was a very, very cruel death, as we have seen reenacted on television and in various articles that have discussed his death. So consequently, throughout the Bible, the concentration has been eventually upon the Messiah, who is the Son of Yahweh. And he became the Word of Yahweh right from the very beginning. He was the Logos, the Memra, the Word of Almighty Yahweh. He is the one who had contact with human beings. No one has ever heard the voice of the Father or seen his shape or form. But the Son came to reveal the Father to his human creation. Yes, the Bible is relevant. Periodically, we find that people oppose mention of the Bible. At the present time, there's some kind of a lawsuit against putting the mention of the Almighty on the new visitor center in Washington, D.C., or even putting on the Pledge of Allegiance. Now, I don't really believe in pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I believe that we should be pledging allegiance to the United States of America and to the flag that represents it. I believe in giving honor and respect. So I'm a great patriot. I believe in this country. I've traveled all over the world, and I believe that this is the best country in the world. And yet today it seems that there is an intended program to bring down our country to a very low level. And I can't understand this. I can't understand where it's happening, where it's coming from. Yes, I can imagine where it may be coming from, but to establish the proof might be a little more difficult. So consequently, I'd like to connect up with you if you're a believer in the Bible. And I am. I'm a great believer in the Bible. I believe that the Bible The biblical message is the true message of salvation. And here I have a stack of literature on the desk as I'm making this program today. And I'll be offering this literature at the end of the program. So you be sure and have paper and pencil handy. Don't forget to bring a pad of paper and a pencil or pen to these Bible studies. Then you'll be able to jot down the scriptural references that I give, and you'll be able to reread them. You might jot down some points that I'm making. And in the quiet time that you've devoted to your spiritual enrichment, then you can go back over these notes and you can profit immeasurably from this review. So consequently, I hope that you join us for the Sacred Name Telecast or the Sacred Name radio broadcast. And I'll be offering a free 1-year subscription to our magazine, the Sacred Name Broadcaster. And in every other issue, on the inside of the back cover, there's a radio and television log. And if you're interested in hearing more of the message of salvation, you can join us on radio station WMLK. This is our shortwave radio station here at Bethel, Pennsylvania. We simulcast the program on WMLK every day. And that simulcast can be obtained by going to our website, www.assembliesofyahweh.com, and Assemblies of Yahweh is in lowercase letters, small letters, .com. And then you'll be able to connect up with the simulcast of radio station WMLK every day from noon to 4 o'clock. We have radio broadcasts that we air, and we have sermons that we air, and we also have Bible studies that we put on. And I know that you'll enjoy listening to the teaching of the Word of Yahweh, the sound doctrines of the Bible, and that you will be able to apply them to your own life then. America the Beautiful. We sing that song, and yet now, seemingly, America is going down like ancient Rome did. In many places in the world that I've traveled traveled on roads that were built by the Roman engineers and the Roman armies. I've seen the aqueducts at various places, and like over at Caesarea Maritima, and the port city of Caesarea Maritima that was built by the Romans, and many other things that the Roman engineers and the Roman army built, constructed, and they're still there. Here in the United States of America, it seems that we're going down the same road that Rome took to oblivion. There is no Roman Empire today anymore, and yet at the time that the Roman Empire was at its greatest extent, which I've discussed here in this paperback book, The Mark of the Beast, and you can see the beast here, how it looked. This is the Roman Empire at its greatest extent. Then you say, well, the United States will never end, but yet we are rapidly moving toward a termination, a complete disintegration of this nation. Why? Because of Proverbs 22, verse 7. The rich rules over the poor. The rich rules over the poor. We're selling our debts to many people in foreign countries. The rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. That means that we are headed for slavery unless we do something immediately to reverse the direction our country has taken. Our country has taken a terrible, wrong turn in the road. And we think that we can borrow our way out of debt. That's impossible. They're going to start printing money before too long, at such a rate they'll crank up the presses that money will be virtually worthless. It'll be flooded with American paper dollars that are going to be worthless or worth very little. So consequently, I'm here to warn you today that we need to make some changes. In addition, our Sacred Name Broadcaster magazine has articles of general interest, and here in this issue of the magazine that I have on my desk, I published an article, The Testament of Jacob. The Testament of Jacob is Jacob's last will and testament, which is found in Genesis 49. Well, what makes the Bible relevant anyway? Here in Genesis 49, we see in verse 21, Naphtali is a hind let loose. He gives good words. Naphtali. Who is Naphtali? Well, Naphtali relates to Italy. And the name Italy, the original name was Italia, which means land of the dew of Yah. Italia, land of the dew of Yah. Now let's go over here to Deuteronomy chapter 33. This is Moses' list of the Israelite tribes and the blessings that he bestowed on these Israelite tribes. One of the things that you ought to understand is that there were two horns, like the horned oxen, and they represented the two tribes of Joseph, which was Ephraim and Manasseh. And Ephraim and Manasseh have been lost to history. They were the leaders of the 10 northern tribes, but they have been lost to history. But they haven't been lost entirely, because they're the ones that have maintained the publication of the sacred scriptures. The Jews have been responsible for preserving it in its accuracy, but it was Israel that perpetuated and circulated this book around the world. Now here in Deuteronomy 33 it says, and of Naphtali he says, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full with the blessing of Yahweh. The word Atalia, land of the dew of Yahweh. Possess you the west and the south. Now it just so happens that during the Israelite times after the conquest, Naphtali was located way up in the north. But where is Naphtali to be located? On the southwest at the present time, in the end of the age. And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of Elohim, blessed the children of Israel before his death. And then he, as Jacob did, also indicated that his blessing, Jacob's last will and testament, was directed toward the end of the age, the end days. Jacob called his sons and said, gather yourselves together, that I may tell you what shall happen to you in the latter days. That's Genesis 49 verse 1. So Genesis 49 verse 1 points us to the latter days, as does Deuteronomy chapter 33. Well, now, if we understand that Israel and Josephus points that way, he said the tribes of Israel migrated toward the northwest. And so consequently, there's so much of European history that we can connect up with the history of Israel. The Israelites settled in Europe, and so the west and the south, the southwest part of the European continent would be what? The land of Italy. And what is in the land of Italy? The Roman Catholic Church. They have good words, yes. They have been given the good words of the sacred scriptures, but they have distorted them and actually done damage to them by saying that the law of Yahweh is done away with. It's been annulled when Yahshua the Messiah died. It was not ever that intention of any biblical writer, biblical author, not the Heavenly Father, not his son Yahshua, not one of the prophets. Because right here at the end of the Bible, we have a very, very stunning verse. It's an astounding verse. The first time I came across it, I was literally taken aback. It says here in Revelation 12:17, and the dragon. Here in Revelation 12 verse 9, it tells you that the dragon is the old serpent, Satan the devil, the one that deceives the whole world. And the dragon became exceedingly angry with the woman. So Satan the devil became exceedingly angry with the woman, who was Israel, and by extension the religion of Israel. That was the true worship down through the Bible, and went away to make war with the remnant of her seed. The remnant shall return, we read in Isaiah chapter 10 verse 20. And that remnant is here on this earth today. The remnant is the last portion of Israel, of the Israelites, after they were sent into Assyrian captivity and Babylonian captivity for the Jews. Then a remnant shall return. And Yahweh says, I'll leave none of the Israelites in the hands of foreigners anymore, but I'll bring them back to my holy land, to the land of Israel. That's why the land of Israel is so important in the fulfillment of Bible prophecy. When the nation of Israel came into being in 1948, we all rejoiced, because this was Yahweh's will, that this country, this little nation of Judah, the remnants of the Holocaust, should take root there in the Middle East, in their native land, and begin to prepare for the return of the Messiah, and to begin to prepare for the return of the Israelites from all over the world. But if you want to go back to the Holy Land with the redemption of the Israelites, you will have to make some changes. You'll have to prove to Almighty Yahweh that you want to live the kingdom way of life. That kingdom way of life is found in the Bible. Yahshua says in Matthew 11:27-28, come unto me, all you who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. The yoke of Yahweh's light Torah is in difference, complete antithesis to the heavy yoke that Satan puts on people because of sins. And so I want to urge you to begin thinking about the law of Yahweh, because in the last days here, there will be a remnant that will be keeping the commandments of Yahweh. That's what it says here, Revelation 12:17. Get a Bible if you don't have one handy right now, and read it for yourself. The remnant will be keeping the commandments of Yahweh and hold the testimony of Yahshua. Well, keeping the commandments of Yahweh are who? Well, you might say the Jews, and some Christians keep some of the commandments, but it is only the Assemblies of Yahweh, which is the organization of true worshipers trying their best to obey the commandments of Yahweh in their entirety. Now, note down also Revelation 14, verse 12. Here is the patience of the saints. The saints will be patiently doing this. they that keep the commandments of Yahweh and the faith of Yahshua. So consequently, the Jews don't accept the faith of Yahshua. Many Christians don't accept the faith of Yahshua. We do. We try to live by every word that proceeds from the mouth of Yahweh. And heaven and earth have not passed away, so that Yahweh's word has not passed away. So I just hope that those who are interested in studying the Bible will give consideration to some of these scriptures that I've just quoted. 1 John chapter 3 verse 4. Everyone that commits sin. What is the definition of sin? Some people will say dancing and drinking and playing cards. No. It says here, everyone that commits sin transgresses the law, is a lawbreaker. For sin is the transgression meaning overstepping the bounds of Yahweh's law. Now there are 613 commandments in the Bible. You might think it's coincidence, but there are 248 positive commandments that say, you shall do something. A positive commandment example would be, honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long in the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. And then there are negative commandments. You shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, and you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor, and you shall not covet your neighbor's goods or anything that is your neighbor's. Those are negative commandments. You don't need to do anything to fulfill them. Just don't do anything. Don't overstep the bounds of Yahweh's laws. And so there are 365 negative commandments, 248 positive, 365 negative. And some of those negative commandments and even positive commandments are derived from the sacrificial law, which the sacrificial law has been fulfilled by Yahshua the Messiah. I'd like for you to, for a moment, turn to the book of Zephaniah. It's one of the minor prophets that's located near the end of the Bible. And the book of Zephaniah, chapter 3, verses 9 and 10 read, For then will I change to the people a pure language, that they may call upon the name of Yahweh to serve him with one consent. The pure language is the Hebrew Bible, and it has the name of the Almighty. It tells us how to serve him. Then, from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, the rivers of Ethiopia are really the Blue Nile and the White Nile, and they empty out into the Mediterranean Sea. If you go beyond Egypt, through the Mediterranean Sea, you'll go through Gibraltar, and the next land area that you'll strike is the coast of North America. This points like a finger to the United States of America. And we can see that in the 18th chapter of Isaiah, where a similar terminology is used. And it tells you that an offering will be brought from the people who are beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. The United States of America will be brought to the King, Yahweh and Yahshua, as they rule in Jerusalem. And that's going to be a great day. Well, I hope that I can connect up with you, because I think we have a lot to offer. There's much more in the Bible that deals with the fulfillment of prophecy. Here are two of my most recent books in paperback. This is Israel's Tabernacle in the Wilderness, a spiritual understanding of the tabernacle and its furniture. And here is the book on the mark of the beast, Revelation 13. Do you know what it is? You know what you have to do to avoid being ensnared in it? Here is our most recent magazine. This is a picture of the Mediterranean Sea, as I said, with some of the cement, the agua cement that was poured by the Roman engineers there. And this has timely articles of general interest, the Testament of Jacob. And then we do a regular monthly feature titled Prophetic Trends. This month's Prophetic Trends was titled The Hazardous Journey of Living in a World That is Traveling in the Wrong Direction. And then here we have remembering the Feast of Weeks. And that's the most recent feast that we passed. And here is our radio and television log on the inside of the back cover of every other issue. So I'd like to urge you to get your name on the mailing list of the Sacred Name Broadcaster magazine. Here are 3 articles on the Sacred Name. What is the name of the Heavenly Father? And what is the Messiah's name? And testifying to the name of Yahweh, the 7 ancient witnesses, and the 7,000 witnesses. Here we have 2 articles on Yahweh's holy days. You will find an advertisement in this coming issue of the Sacred Name Broadcaster magazine, urging everyone who is spiritually minded to come to the Feast of Tabernacles in Bethel. We have a good facility here for the feast, and it's just a tremendous observance when we keep Yahweh's holy days. And these are 2 articles on the holy days, how to keep Yahweh's holy days, and the sacred appointments. These are sacred appointments. You want to prove that we're not a cult? This is our statement of doctrine. This is our standard edition. This is our pocket and purse edition. You can just slip it inside your pocket or put it in your purse and read it occasionally, and study it and read the scriptures that we point out. Here's our correspondence course, lesson 1. Study the Bible systematically with the Assemblies of Yahweh correspondence course, and I know that you'll profit immeasurably. No cost or obligation, but we'd like to have some kind of a donation if you request one of these books. The order number today, the literature order number is 9116. Literature order 9116. Write to the Sacred Name Broadcast, P.O. Box C, Bethel, Pennsylvania, zip code 19507. Or telephone our toll-free number, 1-800-523-3827. That's 1-800-523-3827. And just say, I heard Elder Jacob O. Meyer offer literature order number 9116. And until next week at the same time on the same station, this has been Elder Jacob O. Meyer saying, may Yahweh bless you abundantly.